Hi, my name is Zoe Reeder, and I have a couple of questions for you. When is the last time you really had to worry about how you were going to get yourself to school or work? Or when is the last time you really had to worry about what you were going to eat for dinner tonight? These are questions way too many people in America have to ask themselves. Did you know that the richest 1% of America owns about 42.4% of all financial assets? And that 14.8% of Americans fell below the poverty line in 2014. I am angry at the wealth inequality our country has created over the years, and I believe that by spreading awareness, spreading education, and spreading the wealth, that we can begin to overcome this problem. Meet Desiree Metcalf. She's a 24-year-old single mother to 3, all of whom have different fathers. She is one of 46 million Americans that fall below the poverty line and cannot find a way to escape. Because our government's welfare programs are not set up properly, in my opinion, we have these poor families that are motivated to work, yet still cannot climb out of poverty. Desiree knows that if she starts making money, food stamps and other government funding will be cut from her and her family. Desiree was raised by a single mother who was also poor. By 12, she was placed in psychiatric care, and from there, foster care. She was able to graduate high school and was even given a scholarship to a university in Florida, which unfortunately she had to turn down because she got pregnant. Nearly half of all girls in foster care get pregnant before they're 19, so this was not something that unusual. The government paid $3,000 to train Desiree as a nursing assistant, and she was even able to get a job. The only problem was transportation. Her car was totaled after someone backing out of a driveway, and she says she is unable to get to and from work due to unreliable transportation in her area. Sadly, this is a problem many poor Americans face. Not only does she have all of these problems, but she has a hereditary gum disease that she is now unable to take care of. Medicaid paid for her to get a crown that now doesn't stay in place because her other teeth are crumbling. Desiree can go get more dental work. The only problem again is transportation. No one in her area will accept the Medicaid, so she would have to go elsewhere to try to find somewhere that would accept it. Not only are Desiree's issues piling on top of her, but they are starting to take a toll on all of her children. Her oldest daughter has run away from home, makes herself throw up after eating, and has even tried to kill herself, and she's only 6 years old. The bottom 99% of America is made up of about 310 million Americans and 150 million households. The U.S. population is only about 318 million. We make up such a large part of our country, so I believe that we need to all come together to address this issue of a growing income gap. In 1979, the top 1% earned about 8% of the national income. And by 2007, their share had increased to nearly 23%. Chuck Collins states that the agenda of the 99% has been trumped by that of the 1%. CEOs in our country are earning nearly 300 times more than the average worker does. I believe that if we spread the awareness that the wealth inequality is not what we stand for, we can fight against 1% having so much power. I believe if we share stories like that of Desiree Metcalf, that we can enable those around us to see things from a totally different perspective. And hopefully we can stress the fact that these lower income families deserve more assistance so they can get up off their feet. I also believe that education from early childhood is one of the most valuable and important things for our country. By ensuring that everyone has an equal shot at education, we can allow our entire country to progress. More educated people might lead to more people in the workforce, more people being politically active, less crime and violence, hopefully a decrease in the income gap, and the ability for our entire country to succeed. Poverty is a vicious cycle, and people are unable to escape. They don't have this equal shot at education. And I believe that low-income students, if we get them a great college education, they'll be able to climb out of poverty. The only problem is that college for these people ends up being a tragic catch-22. They know that higher education might eventually lead to a higher socioeconomic level, but they're unable to pay for the education that they need. I strongly believe that those fortunate enough to be making upwards of $450,000 a year, which places you in the top 1%, should definitely be paying it forward. Why does a CEO who was lucky enough to get the job that he or she has, why should they be making more than 300 times more than the average worker does below him or her? With the power that the 1%ers have, I believe they could be doing way more to benefit the entire country. There's this stereotype that low-income earners take advantage of the programs that government has set into place. While I do believe that there may be some poorer families that have taken advantage of this system, we can't place all of these low-income earners into the same group. We need to be able to give them the benefit of the doubt because they don't want to spend their lives being under government programs. They want to be able to provide for their families themselves. Americans are fascinated by this rags to riches idea. There's this perception that anyone can do it, and if you can't, you're lazy or damaged, says Kim Wheaton, director of the Center for the Study of Inequality at Cornell. There's this idea in our country that everyone has an equal shot at success, in terms of money, that is. I strongly don't believe in this because there are so many kids growing up in poverty that will never have an equal shot at success as those children growing up in like a wealthy family. The US actually has the highest childhood poverty rate of nearly any developed country in the world. And I think that this statistic is pretty sad and it should probably upset a lot of people, and we should want to fix that. And I understand that the top 1% doesn't want to just throw their money away, because I don't want to do that either. And studies do show, though, that a lot of Americans are more apt to accept taxing the rich for specific programs like education and job training. Let's all work together to overcome this issue of a growing wealth gap in our country. Let's spread the awareness, get everyone educated, and make sure that the wealthiest 1% of America gives their fair share. Bernie Sanders once said, "A nation will not survive morally or economically when so few have so much, while so many have so little."
Just as an example, the wealthiest 15 Americans in this country, 15 people, and that includes Bill Gates, the Koch brothers, Sheldon Adelson, and a bunch of others. These guys have seen their wealth increase by $170 billion. That's just an increase in what they previously had in a 2-year period. To put this in perspective, that increase in wealth for the top 15 Americans is more wealth than is owned by the bottom 40% of our people, and it is double what this country spends on nutrition programs to feed over 40 million Americans.